Hey everybody, that's right, the new era of creativity is here. Your imagination's best friend is released out of beta, set free. Firefly is here. Nice to see you all. Today, we have a very special guest who is here to answer all of your questions about Adobe Firefly. Who are you, mystery guest?
Costin. I am the Vice President of Generative AI and the Sensei, our AI platform, and over the last year, I've been working with my team and the many Adobe partners to create Firefly, our family of models that we plan to integrate in all creative tools and make your life easier, more creative, more productive.
Yeah, so if you are writing a tweet, if you are making a post and are confused about anything in Firefly, if you want to see something in Firefly, this is the guy. This is the guy for that. So we are here with this exclusive interview here on Adobe Live. If you have questions, go ahead, drop them in chat. We'll answer everything that we can in the next hour or so. And we're live all day, 9 a.m. all the way up till 5 p.m. Pacific time with creatives just like you, helping you level up your creative workflows with Adobe Firefly as your co-pilot. So Alex, let's talk first. What is Firefly and what's new about today? Why are we having a stream today?
Yeah, as you, I hope, know already, since March, we've been piloting our beta of Adobe Firefly on both firefly.adobe.com, our new web application for your creativity's best friend, on the Photoshop beta and inside Illustrator and inside Adobe Express. So it's already in a lot of places, but until today, it wasn't available for commercial use. So today we're announcing the general availability of Firefly, meaning that you can actually take it, use it for commercial use, use it in your ads, use it on social. We removed the watermark if you're entitled Creative Cloud subscriber, and you basically can use it everywhere. So we're looking forward to see how this capability will be used by you all to integrate it in your creations.
And something that I think is maybe a question that a lot of people have right now is why can we use this for commercial use? Why is it cleared? Why can we not have worries about that? How is Firefly trained?
Yeah.
How do we have that?
So since we've started to work on Firefly, we've been partnering with the Adobe design department, folks like Eric Snowden, Samantha Warren, that are creatives themselves. So they create the tools you guys use day and night, but also they come from a freelancer background and they did creative professional work themselves. So since the beginning, they told us, look, we as creatives, we don't want to infringe somebody else's IP, generate recognizable characters when we generate something. So if we are to build a generative capability integrated into Creative Cloud, we need to make sure we cannot, even by mistake, generate something that would put not only me, but most importantly, my customer at risk. So this is why we've decided, and for many other reasons that I'll maybe touch on today, we've decided to make sure that Firefly outputs are usable commercially, and we reduce the risk you might get if we would have trained Firefly on random internet images. So this is why we've decided to train Firefly on a curated, high-quality Adobe stock database of images and illustrations that are moderated both using machine learning, but more importantly by humans, are moderated to guarantee they don't contain brands, logos, IP, trademarks, or recognizable characters. And this is why I saw some of the chat questions, what happens if I put in a Disney character? We don't generate those because in our training data, we never saw Mickey Mouse, so you cannot generate Mickey Mouse. If you put in Mickey Mouse, and I'm sure some of you might trying this today, you will get a mouse. It will be a cute mouse, hopefully, but it won't be the Mickey Mouse that is the IP of the Disney Corporation, which we think it's a feature, not a bug.
It's interesting to think that it doesn't even know that any of those exist, has no context for any of that. And I know that it's been a talk in the past of everything kind of being trained on this Adobe stock model. Adobe, again, we're trying to put creators first. And with that, we are compensating the stock contributors, right?
Exactly. That's another thing we're announcing today. So as we've decided to rewards the contributors to our training data set with a stock contributor bonus, which is going to be announced today. So all of the contributors that have participated and contributed assets from June 3rd, 22 to June 2nd, 23 in our Adobe stock marketplace, they will receive today a bonus that is proportional with the number of assets they have on Adobe stock and with the number of downloads their assets, the licensed assets they have in our marketplace, meaning that we take their existing success as a proxy of the quality of their assets. So you have more downloads from commercial Adobe stock customers, you will get a bigger bonus today.
Sweet. So, again, creatives first. We're here to help you guys. And we want your workflows to be faster, easier, take kind of the ditch digging out of the creative process and help you just lessen your clicks. So we're going to show you all the places that it is available. Again, if you have questions, drop them in chat. And I'm going to do a quick rundown. You correct me if I miss anything. We have generative fill and generative expand in Photoshop live today. We have generative recolor in Illustrator. We have text effects in Adobe Express.
And text to image.
And text to image
Yes.
in there. And we also have a standalone firefly.adobe.com that is the web app as well, right?
Exactly.
Cool. So let's start with the web app because that kind of is a good overview of everything that Firefly has to offer. So let's start with text to image. What is text to image? What's happening here?
Text to image, we've created an ideation/inspiration tool that enables you to put in any prompt, and the prompt can be in 103 languages. But of course, you can try it in your native language, you can try it in English or any language you master. We understand that prompt, and then we generate 4 images that will try to match your prompt. And there's a lot of innovation we brought to text to image because some of the other solutions that exist out there, they force you into typing in maybe complicated prompts to stylize your output. Because we know for our customers, the most pixel perfect creative community on earth, control on how the image looks like is very important. So we've started to innovate with bringing some of the style engines, some of the understanding of style we have in Adobe into this property panel on the right-hand side. So you see that once you put in a prompt, you get the images, but on the right-hand side, you can control the aspect ratio. You can decide, you can pick from one of the content types. You can make it a photo, you can make it an illustration or a vector. These are like the 4 or none. We'll try to guess it for you. But more importantly, underneath, you have this new list of highly curated, high-quality styles that Adobe Design has picked for us that enable you to stylize your generated images without having to pollute your prompt with a lot of complicated words or names of 3D rendering engines, etc. And what we also did to make sure we help you preserve the identity of the image generated. So let's say you like these cakes. It's a pretty tasty stuff. Thank you.
I got hungry as you're talking, and it's breakfast time here, and so the prompt's just getting more and more on the plate. Yes.
But one of the nice things we do. So let's look at this one. So there's some ham on top. If you start stylizing it on the right, what we're gonna try to do is maintain the exact kind of breakfast plate, stylize it, but it's not going to be a completely different plate. It should be a very similar plate. So if you make it out of layered paper, that's what you did, okay, and you click OK, you would see that the structure, and I hope the demo gods will be with us today. You see, the structure is there. Layered paper maybe doesn't really work, and there's a little bit of overlap, but between the concepts. So we're trying to combine concepts that sometimes don't work together. But the idea is we're trying to help you preserve the identity, the personality, the emotion that you've discovered in a particular generation, and then give you the option to stylize it in ways that are powerful, but that are not starting you from scratch. So you need to rediscover the right image, the right emotion you want to send.
Yep, so this is a good tiger, very Lisa Frank, tiger, rainbow colors. But I can change this and go to synthwave instead of layered paper. and you'll see that the style completely changes just with one click. All I'm doing is clicking that popular over here, and check it out. Very, very similar, but done in a different style.
Exactly.
Oh, that's very interesting how like direct those are and just switching up the styles.
Yeah, we work a lot, and we're continuing. Again, our labs, our research labs, Firefly, we launched it this year. We've been working on it for many years in Adobe Research Department, and they have creating these amazing innovations to make sure we stay ahead, and some of them are not launched yet, but on the style side, this is very important for our customers, so we're really trying to innovate and have the best style engine there is. And these styles are, like we could say, they're like graphic styles, etc., but they're also usable if you create a photo, like let's put a portrait of an old man in front of a house as an example. You will see that you have some styles underneath these popular styles that are basically composition rules or color palettes or light. So if you scroll down on the right-hand side, you have color and tone, you have lighting and composition. So you see, we have this photo, and it looks decent, and we are investing a lot in making our photos even better. But let's say we want to use like a vibrant color. Yep. And then go to lighting and make it a golden hour, of course. And yes, from composition, pick close-up. And you will see how close-up is the
there we go.
Or blurry background. You'll see that once you configure those styles and you regenerate, in this particular case, we're going to try to preserve it, that in some cases, the close-up will make it zoom in. You see, we zoomed in, we brought in this lovely orange light in the evening or morning, and it's just such a controllable output of your photography, that because we know as professionals, you want to control the emotion you send when generating. So we want to give you similar controls on the right-hand side property panel with how you would actually do a photograph or decide for a particular shot.
Yep.
So super powerful style category on the right. And again, there's a lot of innovation in the pipeline that we will be announcing soon that will make it even more amazing.
Yes, and what's cool is we can take this and then we can click on this edit button in the corner and go to generative fill, right? Which this is also in Photoshop, a little different experience here. And let's say that we wanted to add in like a windmill. We would just draw over a space that we want. See if we can get this in here. This is not a good selection for that, but we'll give it a shot. And I'm going to type in windmill here, and it will generate that into the image, which is really cool. So you can take something that has started with text to image and really start to build it out and see what you get.
And see how amazing we respected the bokeh, like the depth of field of the image. I mean, don't generate like a layer on top. We physically and realistically blend the concept you want to introduce into the scene at the right depth level, at the right bokeh level, so you can create without limits and in seconds. So imagine having to do this in our tools before, even if Photoshop and can allow you to do this, and there are tools we've been building for the last 3-4 decades to make this possible. With generative fill, it's basically taking it to a completely new level. And you've mentioned the concept of a co-pilot. And when we've started working on Firefly, we decided to make it work for you, for the user, and not replace you, but be there and help you achieve your creative intent much faster. So this vision of making the Firefly models serve the creative professional or communicator or consumer as a co-pilot, and is what fuels us in continuing to innovate. So you can explore and ideate faster and even produce output exponentially faster.
Cool. So let's do some Q&A before we go into the next application. There's some great ones here. Someone was asking, how much input do you get from non-developers and from the creative community as you're building these tools?
Oh, we get so much input. So one of the great things at Adobe, we have, besides Adobe Live, which is an amazing way to interact with the live community, we do have a Discord server, and we have an amazing evangelist and community experts team that go out and engage with, I think it's over 500,000 now users on Discord in multiple languages. And we talk with them interactively. They give us feature requests. So if you want to join the Discord community, you'll see it on the firefly.adobe.com website in the upper right corner. So we do a lot of that engagement, and they compile all of this feedback for our product management team. We also partner really well with the application teams like Photoshop, Illustrator, and they have both the private like customer advisory boards that they talk to users and they give us continuous feedback. We also have these public betas we've launched over the last 6 months where we have continuous feedback, both public and also private, through some feedback mechanisms we have in the tool. So for example, if you go back to text to image, you will see that if we generate something that is great or not great, we have this like, thumbs up, thumbs down icons that enable you, the user, to give us feedback that we analyze to make the Firefly models better. So if you hover any of those generated images, you will see some small thumbs up, thumbs down icons. You'll see a report icon. Those are signals at the bottom. Those are super strong signals that we compile to understand, are we going in the right direction? Is this model version improving versus the previous one or not? Or in particular cases when we generate something that is potentially harmful or incorrect, or we have any problem you want to report, you can give us this feedback, and we have a team compiling all of this feedback and feeding it back into our backlog. So super powerful mechanisms, because we actually, as you guys, I hope you've heard of ChatGPT, which is one of those chatbots that you can talk to and it makes it better. And what makes ChatGPT great is the fact that it knows what its users want as responses. And we're doing the same thing with Firefly. When you like something, we know that that image is a good image, and then we are training future Firefly models to generate more images like the ones our users like. So it's a reinforcement loop, it's a flywheel effect that will continue to make these models better to basically generate type of content at the right level of quality that you like. And same goes for thumbs down. If you don't like some generations, we will use that information to make the model better, and of course in an anonymized fashion.
Yes, and there are a couple comments here about things that may be in exploration. And I know that the Firefly team has been pretty open about like what is being explored, what may be on the way. And that's not something that I'm familiar with seeing in past years from Adobe. Is it's usually, here's the release, it's there. We're giving a lot of insight to this. And what's the idea of kind of showing maybe what's on the roadmap and teasing? And can you give us any like teases on things in development?
I can give you a little bit of that. I mean, if you go back to the homepage of the firefly.adobe.com website, you will see that we have at the bottom these vignettes showing some of the things we have in exploration, like 3D to image or extend images, basically generative expand. So you see that we're already following up and launching actual features that we're announcing here. But a very important principle we have when we build this AI-enabled features is they're very powerful. This is a recent development. They're moving very fast. I mean, we've been doing AI for 10 years, but in the last couple of years, it's gone very powerful, and it's improving every day. So we know that in order to build it responsibly, we don't know all the answers. I think the world doesn't know all the answers, and we're trying to engage with you, our user community, get this feedback. And this is why we launched the firefly.adobe.com website in the first place, to get some feedback on how we're doing. And now it's evolving to be its own product, because we've discovered a great product market fit for ideation, for consumer, even for creative therapy. But we've started with the goal of just getting this feedback loop to help us guide building these models the right way, and building the models, the right capabilities to serve our user base with a very powerful technology that we need to learn how to master. So you should expect to continue to see innovation coming on the firefly.adobe.com first, for this engagement with the community, for the feedback loop, and helping us learn not only how to improve the model quality, but also how to refine the user experience. And then after we're building up that confidence, bringing it inside Photoshop, Illustrator, Express, etc. So we will continue to innovate. I mean, the pipeline of innovation is huge, and I all hope you watch Adobe Max replays. Ideally, be there in person. I have been with Adobe for a long time, so I've attended, I think, the last 20 Max events, actually.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, I'm. And so the first 3, I was actually a partner. I had a company in Romania, a small startup Adobe acquired. But So I was a partner, a sponsor of Adobe Max, but I've been there for the last 20 years, sometimes in virtual, sometimes in person. And we have this thing in the second day called Max Sneaks, where we're showing some of the innovation coming from our labs. This year is going to be an amazing set of Max Sneaks. So I encourage all of you to make sure you follow our social accounts or watch live the Max Sneaks streaming or attend if possible, because there's amazing innovation coming from our labs. And we hope to bring more of that in an accelerated fashion on the Firefly web application.
Yes, and that is going to be hosted by our friend Adam Devine, which will be a great time. You can register for Max. I believe it's just max.adobe.com. You can register. There's a lot of online resources, and so you can watch sneaks, you can hang out, you can register for some talks, for some labs. If you want to hang out with me, I have a couple of those. A talk actually about accelerating your workflows with AI. And I did see a comment that I think that we can show a workflow. Jeff is saying this seems more geared for people who are kind of just playing around to try to generate stuff. I think what we've been showing, yes, we've been playing around kind of generating images, but let's show you some real world applications from Creative Professional, right? I work a lot in packaging, I work a lot in branding, I work a lot in social, and so we're gonna show you how I would use this in a real world workflow. So we're gonna hop into Photoshop real quick. And if you haven't updated, actually, let's do that first. Creative Cloud, all you need to do is go to updates and you'll see that you have the updates available to you this morning. So,
and if they don't, there's a check for updates in the upper right corner. You might have to click that small link, check for updates.
Yes.
Make sure you click that first just to make sure you get the latest builds from us.
Yes, so let's go ahead and show you the workflow that I am obsessed with right now. I actually learned from Jesus Ramirez, who's gonna be coming up later if you wanna hang out with him. He knows everything about Photoshop, and so he showed me this workflow. And we're gonna use generative fill to take this object, remove it, and then replace the background so we can animate in Adobe Express. That's right, we're hitting all of the things here. So first we're gonna do is we're gonna use the object selection tool, really powerful here in Photoshop. It's breaking apart the image, seeing what pieces I need. And so we are going to select our astronaut right here with just one click. And then we can use the contextual toolbar to expand that selection to just give us some space outside of the astronaut. So now we have this selected, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going to hit generative fill. And let me get rid of that tool so we can see. So generative fill is going to fill all of the selection that we have, right? So
yes.
Every pixel that is selected, it will fill.
Every pixel, and actually, probably there are some secrets with it. If you use transparency in your selection, you might get this blended effect. So there's a lot of control you can get if you start playing out with the opacity level of the selection. Anyway, we'll keep that maybe for a future live presentation. But for now, if you click generative fill, yes, we will understand the whole scene. No, this is like a scene in space. Generate basically space,
cool.
empty, I mean star filled space.
So we click generate, and it is going to basically remove that object instead of filling with something. And in theory, it is filling with something, but not anything that I've told it to fill with, right?
Exactly, and this is, I mean, I'm sure you all know content that were filled. This is technology that was in Photoshop for probably more than 10 years. Amazing tech. Generative fill takes it to a completely new level because it's controllable. Right now, you didn't put in any prompt, so it just understood the scene and filled it in with what it considers the probable pixels in those places. But if you would have put in Starship, it would have drawn a weirdly shaped Starship because it understands both the context and the scene, and it can be guided to generate something that you need to insert in a particular scene. But for now, you removed it and you extracted the layers. So now you have two. You have the layer on top, and you have the scene filled. And you see when you keep the layer in the original position, you don't know that the background is there, but
yep.
it's occluded by the layer.
Yes, which is really cool. So here's the workflow that I love to do is we did the generative fill, right? And then I just made a copy of the selection of the astronaut. So now the original image that has astronaut, that has been generative filled, fully seamless. I would never see that there was anything there. And now I have the astronaut separate. So what I can do is I'm gonna save this as a PSD, right? And we're just saving this into our downloads. I'm naming it space. And I'm gonna hop into Adobe Express. So express.adobe.com. I typed it wrong, Andrew. Pull it together. Do I need to sign in?
You might put like a new.express.adobe.com.
Let's try that. New dot. We did it. I'm
And
not.
you have to
I'm not
sign in.
signed in. That's what it
That's
is. All
right.
right, there we
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
Here we go, everybody.
Express is amazing. Actually, it's amazing not only for creative professionals that want to turn out something fast and you can take it and integrate it in the professional tools, but it also enables other consumers and to achieve some level of initial kind of success with a design.
Yep. So again, I love that Firefly is happening at this time, especially with Express, because it's all about speeding up your workflows, making things go faster. And now with Express, we can do all of our generative fill, generative expand in Photoshop, save that PSD, and then all I need to do is click start from your content, and I'm going to click on my space.psd. I'm going to open it, and it's going to convert that Photoshop file directly into Adobe Express. And because I used it's live, baby. Adobe Live. That's what we love. All right, I'm going to try one more thing. The reason it might be is because the size of this might be gigantic. So let me pull the sizing on this image down and see if that helps us at all. So let me save one more time. I'm going to delete some of these extra layers here. All right, we're saving as space. And we're going to come back here. All right, cross your fingers, everybody. Stream gods, smile on us. We're uploading this as a PSD. Cross your fingers, hold your hearts, and we'll see if it goes. And I think the fun thing about generations in Firefly is we don't know what it's going to be. You don't know what it's going to be. You can kind of explore and try stuff. And as we've seen, it generates 3 options right now. And we've talked a little bit about generative credits, right? So generative credits, something that's included in your Creative Cloud membership. How are those used? What are kind of the uses of those?
Yeah, so generative credits, what we're trying to do with generative credits is to make sure we bundle with the Creative Cloud subscriptions, depending on the entitlement plan. And this goes that if you have like the all app subscriptions, you get more credits. You have a single app, you have fewer credits. If you have Express, you get even fewer credits. And of course, we're offering a free plan too. But we're trying to bundle some of that value in generous numbers that give you the possibility to access those credits and do those generations on the fast lane at the beginning. So you're going to generate and we're giving you the best GPU time possible. But after you consume those credits, to save the GPUs for the people that haven't used our credits, you're going to be moved in the slow lane but can still use the feature with a delay that can go from tens of seconds to minutes. But the idea is you can always use the feature in your workflow. And we're still going through the kinks and fine-tuning this. We're starting to count the credits now, but it's not fully enforced until November. So for now, this is happening. We're counting them. We're going to show them soon in the profile pop-up. And the idea is to give you full transparency of how are you using your credits, to understand that we're bundling a good amount to make you productive, but there will be opportunities if you use those credits, if you need the fast lane, to upgrade to higher plans and get more credits.
Cool. So something was happening. Who knows? It's Adobe Live, so we're pivoting. And what's great is there are a bunch of different ways to do what I was trying to do. And so this is another great way that you can do text to image is integrated right here into Adobe Express. So we're in Adobe Express. We're going to generate a square, and I'm going to generate an astronaut floating in space. Astronaut, yes. Floating in space. The amount of times I've said the words as I'm typing them in Firefly, it's going to generate this image for me, and we're going to do a couple things. Adobe Express is really good at removing backgrounds, and so we are going to have our astronaut floating in space. I think that's pretty good. Let's do photorealistic. Let's do it as a photo and see what we come up with. Photo. Realistic, and I believe you've done like studio. What are some keywords that people can put?
I think in terms of keywords, you maybe take the names of the styles we have in our. You could put like a photographic, like close up, scene. You can put an exposing scene, etc. So use terms you would describe a scene if you would be a creative director. We're trying to understand those, and if you don't like what we generate, again, let us know through the feedback mechanism. But we were trying to understand the language, English language, and in general any concepts. If you want more details, our text understanding modules tries to really be thoughtful and pick up on nuances and the orders of the words, etc. But it's important to just play with it and get a feel of how it behaves, because there's some innate nature of it that you need to learn how to use.
So really cool. We have taken that image, removed the astronaut. I just used the remove background there. And then if I wanted to put some text on here, so we can just type Adobe Firefly, why not? Oops. And with that remove background, we have generated this image using Adobe Firefly. And then I made a copy, removed the background from the subject. It's going to suggest some fonts for us. So I think that looks pretty okay. And then I can drop this by changing the layer and just moving it right behind the other astronaut. And we will get a nice effect that kind of gives us this dimensional effect with our type. I'll pull this there. And so now you can see that it's separated. So we generated the image, and then it's not just flat image. You can start to remove background and pull pieces out of those images, which is really nice. What's cool too, you can copy and paste from Illustrator, from Photoshop, right into Express, and then you can animate, do a whole bunch of cool stuff here in Express. Okay, another real world scenario. A lot of people work with packaging. So what can we do with Adobe Firefly and Adobe Illustrator to maybe work with packaging? Check it out. Actually, what prompts would you use to create a nice packaging mock-up in Firefly?
Okay, you got me on this one. But let's say studio shot of a box of a premium product placement box. Let me try that. But
Okay.
let's see what we get. I am an engineer, not a designer, so bear with me. Let's see.
I'm always excited on what it turns out.
I have a backup one that I tried here. Okay, I mean,
Oh yeah, no, this
there's
is great.
something there.
This is fantastic. So I think this one is really, really good for what we're going to show.
Let's riff on it for a second.
Let's do it.
Made of recycled materials. Let's make
let's
it
do that.
eco-friendly. Let's see what
Yes.
happens if we try to be eco-friendly.
All right.
Okay.
And I'm actually going to change it out of art into photo, and then we'll regenerate. I also always get so stressed because I generate in the square initially, but I know I need it widescreen, and then I fall in love with one of the ones that I see, and I'm like, oh no, I have to change it.
This is something we might want to solve. We haven't solved it yet. So if you change aspect ratio, that's one of the things. Right now, you're going to get a new image generated. But that's we're thinking of maybe trying to bring that back in and make it more permanent by using generative. Actually, generative expand is the solution to this. So we will bring generative expand to firefly.adobe.com, and then you're just going to be able to just drag to the right and make it change the aspect ratio without losing your box.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can even do that in Photoshop. But let's continue with the Illustrator demo.
So what's cool is I can now, instead of hitting download, I can copy this image. So we can copy and then paste it right into Illustrator. So we're back and forth between here and Illustrator. Now, we are going to do a really cool workflow that is currently in beta. So we are in the Illustrator beta, and it is called Mockup. And what we can do is I'm just going to grab all these pieces that I have here off this background. I'm going to group them, and then I'm going to select that group and our image that we generated over here in Adobe Firefly. We're going to go to Object, and then Mockup Beta, cross our fingers, and hit Make. So, I need to install. Yes. So, we are installing, but we can generate in Adobe Firefly some of these mockups, and I've seen this done with soda cans. I've seen this done with T-shirts. I've seen this done with a lot of stuff, pulling through from Firefly into Adobe Illustrator. So let's generate a couple more things here so we can do a few mockups. Let's do white soda can.
White soda can. I would say studio shot, or let's put it in a real on a wood table on a beach in Maldives. Let's do that. Let's dream about some holiday.
Let's see if I spelled that right.
We are trying to actually correct misspells. So you might, even if you misspell something, we're gonna do our best.
Oh yeah.
So see, there's something here.
Oh yeah, these are great.
Feels very Maldives.
So I like this one. That one's pretty good. Let's go, I think here. I'm probably going to straighten the background, which is fine. Ooh, actually, I get excited about these workflows. I'm going to show you another workflow to fix this background. So we're going to copy this image and bring it into Photoshop. I'm going to make a new document and we're going to paste this in. So there is a problem here that I'm seeing that I want this to be straight across and not like tilted. This is my favorite application for generative expand, is we can come in here and we are going to grab the crop tool. So I'm gonna hit C for crop, and in fill, we are going to do generative expand for the fill. So from here, I can click on straighten, and then I am going to choose what the angle is of my horizon. So you can see there it's like 2 degrees off right there. So when I let go, it is going to tilt that, right? And instead of having these weird edges, I want to keep the same amount of space. I hit enter, and it's going to generative fill the cropped portion of me straightening that photo.
Wow, this is cool. Actually, I mean, I knew of these tools. I never saw them used like that. It's pretty magical. Yeah.
It's so awesome because we all know that we've taken that one photo that's amazing, but it's like 3 degrees tilted, and then we have to figure out what the edges are, crop it in. You don't have to do that anymore. You can use generative expand. It's not just for up and down and left and right. You can do it in a kind of tilted crop, and this is a really, really helpful workflow. Again, learn from Jesus Ramirez, who's coming up right after us, the absolute patron saint of Photoshop. All right, so we have mockup here looking good. Let's go ahead and select these two. We have our group and our image that we generated, and we're going to go to Object, Mockup, and Make. It's going to analyze the object that we've generated in Adobe Firefly, and it is going to place the art onto the generative box that we've created.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, wow. This
Yes.
is so cool.
It's so good. So let me go ahead and zoom in here, and you'll see if I click in, there are a lot of controls for me. So I can squish it down. I can change the sizing here. And we also can use the scale tool if I wanted to just put this on one side. And you can see as I drag around, it is wrapping around those edges. So I'm going to change the blending mode here to multiply, and that is going to allow me to put this onto the box in a way that looks a little more natural. There we go.
Wow.
Right? And you see that it's wrapping around that edge perfectly. And so mockup is such a good feature for doing these kind of things really, really quickly. So we have our Photoshop, right? We've used generative expand to tilt it, to fill in those edges. And now I am simply going to copy and paste into Illustrator. And let's see if it picks up on just this can being the mockup piece. So I'm going to grab all of these. And again, we have to have a group. So it has to be a group for the mockup to work. And we're going to select both. Oh boy, and hope Adobe Sensei smiles on us here. We're going to click on Make.
I take feature requests too, so let's see. We'll work with the Illustrator team to do the can detection. It didn't.
It didn't. It pulled the other one. Okay, so let's see if we click in here, if we can put it onto the can. There we go.
Yeah. It
So-
understands the full scene. This is what's called a depth map, a monocular depth map, if I have to go scientific. Where
Please do.
we look at the scene and we try to understand what objects exist in the scene, and then create a geometry that enables you to place those mockups and create an amazing customer RFP just in seconds. Imagine how long would it take you to do this by hand if you wouldn't have this amazing capability.
Yes. This is by far my favorite. And again, this is the real world workflow. This is all answering kind of that question of somebody asking, like, is it just for playing around, generating images? No, it's super helpful for mocking things up. If I had a client, I just did this mock-up of the can in, 30 seconds that would have taken me 10, 15, 20 minutes maybe, and I would have to go do a photo shoot with a blank can. Like, there would be a lot, or get a can and then have to Photoshop all the pieces out of it and then put stuff on. Super easy to do this in just a few minutes. That's awesome. So chat, if you have any other questions, let us know. I loved getting into the specifics of kind of the behind the scenes of what's happening with this tool.
Yeah, and actually, one thing you didn't show here is generative recolor in Illustrator. I assume you have that one too. So
yes.
you have it here. You have your mockup, but maybe you want to create a range of color palettes to match the brand of your customer. So just by selecting it and going to the properties panel, if you select the
Yep, I'm gonna crop in just to the can. Oops, that was the wrong key. Let me crop into just the can here. Object, where are my clipping mask make? Oh, I wonder if it won't clipping mask the mockup. That's fine. All right, let's pull this over here and let's see if generative recolor works with the mockup.
yeah, and actually I didn't try it, but it should be just a
Oop.
it should be just a standard vector piece. That's the beauty of Illustrator, every single vector. And let's say you want to do in Maldives teal color to match the environment. And
yes, so let's do
see.
maybe like blue water at the beach. So what it's doing here is we are kind of pulling words into a color palette. This is a really great thing. And again, this is why I love Adobe Live. I haven't tried this. You haven't tried this. We're here together to try stuff, right? We're not here to just like demo and show you things. We want to experiment. It's actually helpful if we do this and it breaks and doesn't work.
Yeah,
then we can go to the Illustrator
product
team.
I'm meeting them every day, so they're ready to make this work.
Okay,
so it's using a generative credit because we hit the Firefly service to get the best color palette generated, and this is a mix of generating these images that will be used for inspiration and technology from Illustrator, and you see it worked and it recolored. I don't know, maybe there was an error there.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so what happened there was an error. It did recolor it, but it recolored it everywhere that it was placed on that mockup. So I wonder if maybe the mockup is kind of connected somehow that it was doing that. So we can do it up here.
Yeah, maybe duplicate again, create a new group, and then recolor. Yeah, still, you do get this instant coherent recoloring. So I know how the Illustrator team works super hard to make sure not only they get the color palette from Firefly, but they also try to match it with the original color distribution of your mockup, so it maintains coherence of the scene. So if you have like a background and a foreground and some particular contrasts, it's taking that into account when recoloring to make sure your scene never has similar color overlapped and make it hard to understand and read.
Yep, and what's really cool is if you want to go into a professional, little more advanced workflow, you can click on these advanced options right here, right? So I'm pretty happy with the clear blue water at the beach. It's a little too mint for me, and I want it to go into more of like a saturated, bright kind of blue. So we can click on advanced options, and we have these options here. So we can shuffle the order of the color. So here, it's gonna shuffle through all of these colors, and that actually already is looking a lot better to me. This black, not a huge fan of pulling it in there, and so I can double click on the black, and then just grab and drag to a blue that I like, and you'll see it will update live, and now we have this really fun color palette that is, again, Creative Copilot, generative recolor with some tweaks by me to kind of hone it in. So let's do another one. Where else do we want to take this art?
Let's take it on a T-shirt with some creases. Let's take
yes.
it to like a portrait of a student with a backpack on the hallway of a high school. My son is finishing high school, and we're all going through the college craze. But let's see if we do that. Let's see if we have enough creases. I'd love to see how Illustrator deals with creases, and maybe let's change the aspect ratio to portrait.
Let's do that.
Make a portrait and photo. It might portrait and then photo the style.
Got it.
It might generate something better, and maybe we should say viewed from the back. And I think maybe we put the mock-up on the back. Or do we have enough here? No, maybe let's cut the backpack and scene viewed from the back, so we have some space to place it in a realistic environment.
View from the back. Student in a high school in a white shirt, view from the back. Let's see what happens here. And someone's saying, how do you Illustrator recognize that it's a separate object. Ooh, yeah, that's actually a great question. How did Illustrator recognize that it's a separate object? We kind of talked about that, but can you just recap maybe how does it know of all the things in the scene that that was the can?
I think using advanced algorithms, what we do, and machine learning using the Sensei services we've been building over the last 10 years, we try to understand how far away from the camera, the virtual camera, each pixel in the scene is, and then create some kind of a clustering of those pixels and imagine those objects. It's called a depth map, and that depth map, we've been playing with it in Photoshop neural filters in the past. The idea is to try to understand the depths of the scene, and then once you understand the depths, Illustrator creates this 3D, has a 3D engine in it. You guys might have played with it, but creates a 3D scene and then intelligently applies the mockup with all the geometric transformations on that 3D scene. Ideally, even respecting the creases in the shirt. So let's see if it does a good job there. But I'm hopeful that it will blend it very realistically.
Yeah. So what I'm doing here with generative recolor is I wanted to see if it could get like a more obscure, like ethereal. I know as creatives we talk a lot in like metaphors and vibes, and so sometimes the vibes don't translate when you're trying to do an image. But with generative recolor, I found that it actually picks those up really well. And so I did vintage college pep rally as the color schemes, and it's hitting pretty good. Like this is where I want it to be. But what I can do is maybe I have school colors. I can actually designate colors that I need to be in this image, right? So I need to have maybe this teal, and then I need to have this yellow. So we're going to add in the yellow, and then we're going to add in the teal. And now when I generate, it should incorporate those colors into the generative recolor, right?
I mean, I surely hope so. Yeah, it did.
Yep.
It does.
Yes, pretty cool. So we have this here. I think this looks good for my school colors. I'm happy with that. And now I can select these two, and again, go to Object, Mockup Beta, and hit Make. And let's cross our fingers and see if it picks it up. I'm excited about the creases and ridges in the shirt to see if it picks up and kind of flows over those.
Yeah, and another thing that maybe we should show after seeing this amazing demo working, I hope, let's do the blend mode trick too.
Yep.
And maybe resize it a little bit. Maybe we should add like title or some kind of a call to action to this. You see, it picks on the creases, and it literally makes it small deformation to go around.
Yep.
I mean,
what's getting me is right here. That's awesome that it's like catching the armpit there. You can see it bending as I drag around.
Yeah.
Even on some of the edges of these creases, you can see the bends on the sleeves kind of pulling through. That's really cool.
So I think one thing we could do, let's take this to Express. Can we import a PDF to Express and then try to put a title, like a text to image, a text effects title on top?
Absolutely. And what's even cooler is we actually can just import this AI file directly into Express. So
let's give it another try. Maybe a third time is a charm.
Let's cross our fingers, y'all. So I'm going to take, I'm actually going to undo a lot of this file real quick. And I'm going to take this into, we're going to generative recolor, and then I will take it into Express to see if we can do some animation. So there's a lot of colors happening here. And let's try to do a generative recolor to see what happens on all of this. So I'm going to do generative recolor. We're going to go back to the one that I've been, okay, we're going to do the one that is my go-to. Oops, that's not the right one. And that is edit, going to edit colors, and then doing generative recolor. My go-to has been burnt banana. I don't know why, but I feel like I get good color schemes out of here. And maybe popcorn in there. I want those yellow tones.
Nice.
Let's see what happens.
Recolor is also available. You see the property panel on the right-hand side?
Oh, yes.
There's a recolor button there. I go to as my demo flow.
Right over there. I seem to give myself as many extra clicks as possible when I demo things. Okay, so we've got the burnt banana workflow. I like this a lot. I don't like this red though, so I'm going to pull that into a darker brown right here. Hit OK. All right, that looks good. And this red as well, I'm going to take into a really dark brown. So again, Creative Copilot, super easy and fun to be able to work quickly. Oh, That was not what I
Maybe
wanted.
too white.
I wanted this brown, and I wanted to take the actual black here, and I'm going to make that white just so the eyes look white. Get over there. There we go. That's horrifying, but we'll keep it. All right, so I'm going to save this document, and we're just going to save it as an AI on my desktop. So we're just going to toss this into downloads, sure, resources, save, great. Now, let's go back into Adobe Express and cross our fingers that the upload works here. Let's click on Start from Your Content. This is my content, and we are going to click on Resources and hit Open. Now, something as it uploads and converts, something to notice is that in this file, we actually had 2 different artboards, okay? Express is going to convert both of those artboards into their own pages within the same document. So we're back here, look at that, it worked. We can hit Open in Editor, and now everything, including the type, is here on 2 separate pages. Pretty cool.
Yeah, and
Also,
this is editable type. Wow, that's
this
great.
is
So let's
editable
apply
type.
like a text effect on it, because that's one pretty cool capability, Firefly capability you haven't shown that would
yeah.
really help you create titles that stand out.
Yep, so we can click on text effects here, and maybe with this kind of party zone, maybe we want to do like metallic confetti.
Metallic confetti sounds pretty creative.
Let's see what happens here. So what's happening here, and what's kind of the workflow of using text effects?
Maybe double L? I don't know.
Metallic. There we go. There we go. Thanks, chat. Okay, so what are these options here that we're seeing as we start to generate this? What does the tight, loose, medium mean?
This is a pretty key. This is my favorite feature. When we, as you know, Adobe, we've invented a lot of the technologies that made modern typography a reality through EPS and fonts, etc., Type 1 fonts. But with typography, we know that sometimes you want to control the effects, how they map to the actual glyphs. Sometimes you want to be more creative and allow Firefly to get outside of the bounds and create these effects that will basically get all over the place, but will be quite amazing and creative. This is what tightness feature does. It allows you, if it's set to the right, which I think it's called loose,
Yep.
it will allow Firefly to get outside of the bounds and create something more out of the box, basically. So let's see how this works.
So I'm going to zoom in here so we can really see those juicy details. I'm actually going to move this up. Oops. Oh, Andrew. All right, there we go. So we are going to click on the text effects here. We're doing loose. We're doing metallic confetti. I've chosen the font. I added a pink tint just to make sure that we're good. The style. We probably want to be realistic for now. And then we are going to hit generate. And let's see what happens here. What it's going to do is it's going to basically create these letter shapes with what we have told it to create. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty
Wow.
metallic and pretty confetti, and more is editable. If you say paid resources, you will see that you can actually edit, and edit will go in real time, and will stream in characters as they go. So the text is editable. It's not a raster. It's a fully editable character. It's a fully editable text object that you can basically continue editing. So make this paid or amazing or whatever. You can type in anything, and in a second, now we're regenerating because you changed the capital letters. We have to regenerate those letters. But if you keep typing, we're gonna reuse everything. So if you type A again, it's not regenerated, it's cached. So we're trying to make it so it's super smooth to edit. You can continue, have this interactive experience, but in the same time, new characters are going to be streamed as we generate them. So pretty amazing, I would say.
That's interesting that it's basically caching the letters as it renders them, so that then you can keep generating really quickly. And if you wanted to, there are some sample effects for you to get acquainted with this. If we wanted to, we could change this maybe to embellished and see what happens. So let's generate here and see what happens. I feel like, okay, here's my request. That's definitely not going to be a thing.
Okay.
I want render music so bad. When that little bar is going across, I just want a little like.
That's a cute one. Let us take it in. I mean.
Yeah, we'll talk to the team about it. Yeah. Cool. All right. So we went to embellish, and it's really given it like a little bit of extra, the dimension.
Yeah.
It's really cool to play around with all these options. So if you want to explore Adobe Firefly, it is available. It is for commercial use today, out of beta. There is text to image, generative fill, generative expand in Photoshop. We've got text effects. We also have generative recolor, got them all. They are available today, and make sure that you stick around the entire day. We have content coming to you from Adobe Live. We got about 2 minutes left, so if you have questions, put them in chat. But if we have a schedule, can we toss up the schedule real quick to give you a little look at what's coming up today? So we're just finishing up the Q&A with myself and Alex. Next up, we have seamless workflows between Illustrator, Photoshop, and Firefly. So we're gonna be doing a ton of stuff. A lot of what we showed today, just in a bigger way. And then we will be in with Jesus Ramirez, Sin Lagos, Elise, and all of your favorites here on Adobe Live. We're going between Photoshop, Illustrator, all over the place. Stick around, we will be live all day. So I did see a question come in. Is there a way to put these same effects in the objects in an image and not just on text?
Great question. And I think that's definitely something we want to make happen. I don't think we have it now. One way you can achieve this, it's like a secret trick. If you have an emoji, you can create like upload your own font with an emoji. You can actually use emojis and stylize them in the same way to give you some control. But definitely stylizing an icon or a vector piece is top of mind for us. So stay tuned. We're multiple teams are hard at work bringing Firefly in more and more workflows, including stylization of existing objects.
Yeah, so if you want to see emojis, stick around for 3 minutes because I'll be showing you that at the beginning of the next stream. And the next stream will be a lot of in-depth of what we showed today. So I'll be showing you how to go from Illustrator to Photoshop, Photoshop, generative expand into Express. We'll be all over the place, and you, chat, will be leading me. So if you have suggestions for what you want to see, where you want to go, if you have questions about workflows, put them in chat right now, and I will see you all in about 5 minutes here on Adobe Live. Make sure you subscribe. Bye.
Thank you.